You know, I've talked about this before, and it's still very surprising because it seems that even over at places like archiveofourown.org and fanfiction.net, but mostly archiveofourown.org, you have fan fictions, sometimes solo fan fictions, and what I mean by solo, basically solely written by one person or typed up by one person, or you have collabs, if you will. And in a recent case, we have we have Tails Rules and the Girls Drool teaming up with Zero the Fox, who goes by another name on fanfiction.net, who has done some very, I guess you could say, mature triple X NFSW adult-oriented fanfics with our favorite two-tailed fox. Now, sometimes the fanfics, depending on who it is, whether it's Tails Rules and the Girls Drool, or Zero the Fox or Cyborg Fox or whoever, most times they will be fanfics that will have Tails, at a appropriate age, 18, 21, grown up, if you will. Other times he'll kind of be mostly like in between, or as he is, right now, currently, as you see him. From a modern, I should say, perspective or aspect. And, despite either way he's portrayed, he's always put into a situation with several ladies. Some of them you see in these pictures. And when I say he's put into situations with several ladies in various ways, I mean various ways from a erotic NFSW triple X scenario. Like they get him alone and it's like, party on, dude and dudette, go have your way, go and do your thing. And what's interesting is the more recent collab by Tails Rules the Girls Drool, or Tails Rules and the Girls Drool, and Zero the Fox. What's crazy about the recent collab is it's a choose your adventure type story, where you're going to have multiple different outcomes, if you will, but they're going to be divided into kind of, I would assume, very interesting chapters or episodes or whatever they want to call them. Like one chapter will be dedicated completely to one girl and Tails, and then the same with another. But the choose your adventure is going to basically be, you clicking on an option and you go to said option, you see what the result will be. In other words, what Tails Rules and the Girls Drool and Zero the Fox are doing is they're giving you an opportunity to click on different, I guess you could say different outcomes, basically, for Tails and the ladies he's with. And the first lady he is with, believe it or not, and, I guess I shouldn't say believe it or not, because it's not really surprising at times when you look at some of these stories, is Bernadette the Hedgehog. Bernadette the Hedgehog, or Bernadette Hedgehog, is Sonic's mom in the Archie Sonic books. After she is de-roboticized and pre-robotization. And let's just put it this way. When people do very, I guess you could say, NFSW art of her and everything, MILF art, if you will, along with the likes of Vanilla and even Sally's mom from the Archie books, Sally Acorn's mom, Princess Sally Acorn's mom from the Archie books, Alicia Acorn. When they do artwork of them in the very NFSW way, MILF way, if you will, it's like yikes. It's like yikes. Basically, you couldn't blame Tails or any other young male from basically being tempted, even if they are tempted by said characters to, want to get it on with them, if you will. You couldn't blame someone like a Tails. And here with what's known as Tails, because they gave it a title, of course. They gave the story a title. They called it Tails Steamy Summer. And obviously, Obviously, again, being a choose your adventure like scenario, you got all these different options. There's one option where Tails and Bernadette, they get it on, and the end result is Bernadette ends up, becoming a mother again, but this time to Tails' child. And the only way that they can have any kind of peace is to live away from everybody else. In other words, basically run off and, start a new life together and stuff, and things. Or the other option is Tails ends up, using protection, or Bernadette, times herself before the moment happens, from Tails, and, you just go from there. Then you got the option of whether or not Tails leaves her and decides, I'm not going to be part of this, or basically you have Tails staying with her, and when Sonic and Bernadette's husband Jules, who is Sonic's dad in the comics, are not around, that gives Tails and Bernadette the opportunity to basically have their fun, if you know what I mean. So basically it's that kind of a scenario, and I'm sure the same is going to be utilized with other female characters that they got lined up. As a matter of fact, if I pull it up here without any issue, and I do apologize for any lag or delay or whatever the case may be, but if I pull it up here real quickly, see, there he is. The other options they're going to put Tails with is going to be Amy Rose, Sally Acorn, Alicia Acorn, Sally's mom, or maybe the anti-Sally, we don't know, from an alternate dimension, an adult, of age, Cream the Rabbit, Vanilla the Rabbit, Cream's mom, Queen Alina Hedgehog from Sonic Underground, who is Sonic's mom from that continuity, Sonia the Hedgehog from Sonic Underground, Sonic's sister, or Megan Acorn, Sally's sister-in-law, Elias's wife, who is Sally's brother, as well. So they're going to give him various options and everything, and I'm going to check right now, see what we have. So basically they have what they call it not chapters, but they call it paths. So we have path A, and we have various paths from 1-1 to all the way to 1-13. So you got different paths in path A. You got 13 different paths to go down and everything in this story when it comes to Tails, having fun and all that. But the big question, though, a lot of people have as well, and somebody brought this up, is why is Tails, and I found this on Reddit, the question is, why is Tails getting so many love interests and everything? And, and because they noticed this mainly, not just with Sonic X, but they noticed it with Sonic Boom, they noticed it from the Archie comics and everything, and, and the various, hints, here and there, obviously, in other Sonic media with the other female characters. It's like, what is it that Tails has that gives him basically the open door to basically have any female he wants? And there's various reasons. It's the way he's designed. You compare his design nowadays, his modern design nowadays, to what it was back when he started, and it's understandable that you look at that design back then and it's like, yeah, there ain't no way you're going to go that direction with that Tails. But you look at the Tails you have now, the Tails you got in Boom, the Tails you got in Frontiers, the Tails you're getting in, IDW Sonic and everything, and such, the Tails you're getting in Sonic Prime. And it's not hard to argue why a lot of fans would go this direction. Either it's in fanfics where he's of age, of appropriate age, or in between, or whatever. It's no surprise that they would go in this direction, nor is it any surprise that Sega would approve of of certain series like IDW, Sonic Boom, Sonic Prime, Sonic X, it's no wonder they would approve of this as well, and everything, just based off the way he's designed, and based off that design, how he kind of comes off, maybe in the eyes of the characters, or just by the hints and everything there. The other reason, as well, that somebody actually commented on in replying to that question on Reddit, is Tails is in a scenario to where he has more free range. Unlike Sonic, unlike Shadow, I would say to an extent Knuckles as well as Silver, Tails has more free range. He's not as restricted as Sonic. Now, yes, as I've mentioned before, they are trying to, basically, from what reports are coming out, Sega is trying to be more lenient when it comes to the romance being incorporated into Sonic media. But outside of, those speculations and reports and all that, Sonic is still looked at, like I said, along with the likes of a Shadow, along with the likes of a Knuckles by extension, and even a Silver. He's looked at as one of those characters that, when it comes to romance, he's off limits. He is not to be associated with romance whatsoever. Tails, on the other hand, he's not as restrictive. So so they have more free range to do with him as they please. That's why Tails was given a girlfriend in Sonic X, which was a show carefully moderated and put out by not just TMS Anime TMS Anime and all that, but Sega of Japan itself, Sega of Japan itself. But it also explains why he was given another girlfriend, in Zoe in Sonic Boom, and even flirted with by Stacy the Bandicoot, at the end of that episode. So you kind of see that the reason he's getting all this attention from the female perspective is because of the fact that he has more free range. The same could be said for even Amy Rose. You might say, well, Amy is always associated with Sonic, right? That is true. But Amy, like Tails, is in that same category. She's not so off limits, if at all, when it comes to romance. Which is why when she first was around, before she came into her own nowadays and everything, she was very, Sonic obsessed. Always wanted to be with Sonic and all that. Now, if she was in that same category as Sonic and everything, to where she'd be off limits, you wouldn't have seen that. But she's not. She for her entire history, she's not been off limits. To when it comes to having romance in her life, which is why, if it's approved, they will give Amy an opportunity to go in that direction. Same with Rouge the Bat. Same with Styx the Badger. Same with Wave the Swallow. Same with Vanilla and Cream of age, if you will. Cream of an adult age, I should say, and everything, and so on and so forth, because they're not as restricted and kept off limits as a Sonic, as a Knuckles, as a Shadow, as a Silver. Because those characters, they play integral parts in the games and in the stories, which is why they're not always, free to explore possible romances. Now, again, like I said, they might be more lenient with that, especially when you look at the upcoming IDW stories in the future issues, where it looks like Silver might be taking an interest in Whisper, even though it's pretty much indicated, not officially stated, but indicated that Whisper is with Tangle. So, if they're playing into that, it definitely shows that they're being more lenient, very slowly, but, they're showing at least a little more leniency and saying, okay, go ahead and do this. But again, getting back to Tails, the reason Tails is always put into these scenarios, officially or fanfic-wise, or even erotically adult fanfiction-wise, if you will, where, anything goes, he has his moment, if you will, multiple times with the same female character or a different female character. The reason being, like I said, fanfic, webcomic, animation, fan animation, if you will, because there are those kind out there, or even official, material like Boom and X and even comics and stuff, it's because he's not under that same restraint as Sonic. And it's also the fact that he's designed in a way that, he kind of falls under that category that people would compliment, a young kid by saying, hey, when you get older, you're going to be a lady killer, if you know what I mean. You're going to be, ladies are going to be fawning over you left and right, and all that. Now, that's basically how he's looked at, based on how he's designed and everything. So why not go with that? Why not, go in that direction and say, hey, let's make him like that from an official standpoint, in some scenarios, but also a fanfic standpoint, if you are even an adult one, if you kind of catch my drift. The thing is, this is why, at the end of the day, Tails is put into these scenarios. As crazy as it may sound, this is why he's put into these scenarios. It's kind of like, as strange as the comparison as it is, this is why Spike from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is always paired with somebody. He's always paired. And the most frequent girls he's always paired with, of course, is Rarity, which everybody looks at as the pairing, the ship, no matter what you say or believe. Or if it's not Rarity, he's paired with Starlight, or if not Starlight, Applejack. If not Applejack, it could be, Sweetie Belle, which people would say is more appropriate. Or, what's her name? I can't think of Gabby the Griffin, and everything. Or the Ember the Dragon, Princess Ember, or even Smolder and everything. This is why he's always paired up with the, depending on how you feel about the pairing, how you feel, it's right over other pairings and everything, why it's appropriate, why it should be done. This is why he's always put in these scenarios. Because people will look at, Spike, like a Tails, as being someone that, hey, if you look at the final episode of Friendship is Magic, Last Problem, will grow up into basically a Chad-like ladies killer, Chad-like ladies man that the ladies will fawn over. Period. And that's how basically Tails is interpreted, not just with his current design right now, his current modern design, but how he's envisioned, how fans would envision him, and heck, how even, as crazy as it sounds, those at Sega who approve of some of these pairings he's with, how they envision him if he got older, basically being a ladies' man, the one that ladies would fawn over, flirt with, want to be with, want to get it on with, if you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, that is why Tails is in the position he is, and why it doesn't surprise me that when I look over at archiveofourown.org or fanfiction.net, I see, stories like a Choose Your Adventure story, or collab, if you will, by Tails Rules and the Girls Drool and Zero the Fox. This is why I'm not surprised that I see that kind of adventure, to where you could choose if Tails stays with someone like a Bernadette, has a new life with her, raises a family, whatever, gets it on all the time, or decides, hey, this is not right, I don't want to be part of this, or whatever. And then you got the other options coming up that I mentioned. It doesn't surprise me that he's put into these scenarios, because it's because of how he's viewed. How he's viewed by the fans and everything, how he's viewed by extension, not by assumption, if not probably 75% true assumption, how he's viewed by Sega as being that kind of a ladies' man that as he gets older, the ladies will fawn over and everything. And that's why you have these kind of outcomes, official or not. So that's why, in my opinion. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Like I said, when you look at this new Choose Your Adventure story at Archive of Our Own, that's the the reason he's put into that scenario is because of the various reasons I mentioned. From an official and fan perspective. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment if you like down below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super chats will be open during the live chat of the premiere. But give me your thoughts. Give me your reasoning as to why you believe Tails is always put into these scenarios officially, or fanfic-wise, or even adult fanfic-wise. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Check out the Teespring store as well. You'll also get a podcast version of this down the line, audio-wise. But guys, give me your thoughts. Love to hear from you. And until then,